I haven't done one of these in a while, generally because I put them up on Patreon as, like, monthly behind-the-scenes channel summary, channel update, whatever they're called. But I thought I'd do one for the public, because this has a fairly important thing coming up towards the end, and there's a reason I'm recording this today as well. So, I've had a bunch of questions thrown at me that I've answered to the people individually, but obviously that doesn't stop some other idiot the next day saying, "Excuse me, sir, what is X, Y, and Z?" So, what I'm doing is trying to answer them here in one big old video that people can refer back to or link other people to answer these questions so I don't have to keep typing up the same response every day. So, one question I saw on Discord, and one question I see a lot, and honestly a lot of things people have been PMing me about is basically what is my schedule. One guy asked, "How the fuck aren't you dead?" So I'm rephrasing that a little bit more informatively, let's put it that way. So, my schedule currently is... For those of you who don't know, for those of you not subscribed to the second channel, why are you here, for a start? Secondly, for those of you who don't know, I put up 3 edited 30-minute videos a day on the main channel, 2 CK2, 1 RimWorld. It's supposed to be 1 Patreon series, but RimWorld sort of stuck around, and I haven't found a way to kill it off yet without upsetting everybody. I sort of floated the idea, and everyone was like, "No, don't kill RimWorld." So, I'm not killing RimWorld. As of right now, my schedule... So, we were working 24-hour time, because I work around the clock, because I'm that dedicated... is fairly straightforward, I would say. Makes sense when you've done it and when you consider time zones and upload and YouTube processing and everything. So my current schedule right now, 11 PM, so just before midnight, 2300 hours. I will record Dwemer contingency for the next day. So that gives me roughly, oh god, maths off the top of my head, what, like 15 hours before the episode has to go live. I will start recording it 15 hours in advance. Reason for that is, as I said, YouTube processing is horrible lately. Videos sometimes have, errors which resolve eventually, or sometimes have errors that don't resolve at all and require a re-upload. It also can take me longer to edit things. If there's an issue with the export from my video editor, I'll need to re-export it, and that can take quite a sizable amount of time. So, generally, I consider that the first video of the day. So, obviously, we've got Dwemer Contingency at 5 PM, or 1700 hours. We've got RimWorld, then at 8 PM, so 2000 hours, and then CK2, whatever the other second series is, it's HIP right now, coming out at 10 PM my time, so that would be, 2200 hours. So, Dwemer Contingency is the first mod out for the next day, so I'll record, obviously, that one first, that makes sense, but also it gives me quite a nice buffer. I'll record that, I'll edit it at roughly midnight the day before, and then set it to export, at which point I'll go to bed, because exporting videos, rendering videos, I should say, after I've done editing, it can take anywhere between half an hour to an hour, depending on the video length, the bit rate, the audio rate, etc. So, generally, I'll just leave the episode going, go to bed, set my PC to auto shut down, and then come back and start uploading that immediately when I wake up, or as I'm, getting breakfast or whatever, which is what I'm doing now. It's got 4 minutes left, if you're wondering. After that, or during while that's uploading, I'll generally record something else, because, it's no effect on the recording if I'm uploading and recording at the same time. Unlike rendering, which uses up as much CPU power as it possibly can, which means my PC is basically on lockdown until it's done. Uploading does nothing. So I can record and upload at the same time, and I generally would be right now recording... well, it's currently 2 PM, so just after lunch, 1400 hours for those of you who work in 24-hour time, because apparently a load of people work in 24-hour time. I would generally around this time be recording RimWorld. Then after that, so that's my first technically video of the day when I wake up will be RimWorld, having done the Dwemer Contingency the night before and that being uploaded already. I'll start with RimWorld. Why do I start with RimWorld? Well, the first episode of the day is generally when I'm the most sluggish. I haven't woken up. I haven't really got, the voice chops enabled or anything like that. So I'll record RimWorld because that's sort of the more... The less watched series and also the most ad block series, so you guys get the worst commentary because you don't turn off ad block. And, I feel like that's a fair exchange. So, it's not really the reason I do it. I just do it because RimWorld is, like I said, probably the worst content on the channel. And the content people care the least about, I should probably say. So, that one gets done in the morning or right now, 2 PM, when I feel, less up to it. After that, and after I'm warmed up from that, I would generally then record, depending on the amount of time I've got, I will then record HIP, or the second CK2 video that comes out at 10 PM, 2200 hours. I'll record that video after RimWorld, and this whole process can take me up to about 5 PM. So that does take a roughly, I would say, now I'd say probably closer to 4 PM. It takes roughly 2 hours to record 2 30-minute videos. assuming everything goes well. Then I've got the editing, so generally I do that, you know, a little later at night, around 5 or 6. I will edit RimWorld, export it, and then immediately edit HIP and export it. Then as I set those two to upload, I can go and get dinner or do basically whatever I want to do with my evening at that stage. I'm essentially done. I've got to do thumbnails and descriptions and tags and titles and upload them and set ads up and all that crap. But that's not a super major, you know, intensive workload, is it, realistically? So that can take, honestly, to get them set up on YouTube, though, for the actual uploading itself, generally takes a video around 45 minutes to upload. Then setting up, as I said, titles, description, tags, thumbnail, ads, scheduling, advanced settings as well. You have to do if you're uploading games to YouTube where you say it's under the gaming category, and you also give the game title. Doing those can generally take a while because YouTube is a bit of a pain in the ass. They are also unveiling YouTube Studio, which seems to be an even bigger pain in the ass. So that can take up to 45 minutes for all the videos of the day. So generally I'm looking at, just to break that down and make it a little more simple, wake up at about midday, about 12. Well, I generally wake up before that, but I'm not going to start working until 12. Record RimWorld around then. Takes me up to roughly about 2 PM if I'm on schedule. Record HIP generally takes me up to about 3 PM. Edit the videos takes me up to about 5 or 6 when taking into account rendering as well. Then get them uploaded, get all the settings done. Generally, I'll start uploading RimWorld as the other videos exporting, because generally they don't affect each other too much. It does slow down the export a little bit, but not by a hugely measurable amount. Thanks for going to the outro there. Appreciate you, OBS. Generally, I can do both at the same time, and obviously RimWorld will need to be exported that a little bit earlier because it does come out at 8 PM. So I'll start uploading RimWorld around 6, and then that's it. I'm basically done at that point. Then I'll have a couple of hours, do whatever, play fucking Skyrim or, you know, dread my life. And then at 11 PM, just before I go to bed, or, you know, as the sort of last thing I do for the night, not generally before I go to bed, but hey, I will record the Dwemer contingency. So, realistically, it would be so much nicer to, you know, wake up at fucking 9 AM, immediately record 3 videos, immediately get them edited, immediately upload them, and then, you know, finish at like 4 o'clock and hang my hat up and go home to my wife and 3 kids and my dog and, you know, sit by the armchair reading the latest copy of the Sunday Times. But, you know, I kind of like the work interspersed through the day rather than having a set sort of work for 8 hours solid. And I think if you work for 8 hours solid, it would also come across in the video. Because despite how much you think it's you know, all fucking swings and roundabouts, if you sit there and record content for, although to you guys it looks like half an hour, realistically it could be upwards of an hour. If I sit there for 3 to 4 hours, switching between mod packs, trying to solve issues which the games always generally have, because RimWorld modded is a pain in the ass, CK2 modded is a pain in the ass, it generally wears you out very quickly. So I like to give myself a bit of a break between them, so I'm always coming back to the videos, you know, at my sort of best, I don't know, stride. It's probably the best way to phrase it. Second question, hopefully that's answered that one. Second question, when is the Dwemer mod released? Great question. Probably when the series is done, because I've got a lot of things I need to add and a lot of things I need to change and a lot of things I don't have time to do right now because of, you know, aforementioned schedule. Not only that, but there are certain things I cannot add right now because there is a limit to how much you can add to a pre-existing save game without breaking the save game, and obviously YouTube is first and foremost. Making mods is just a side hobby. For example, you can't add traits to a pre-existing save game without completely breaking everything. You can't add new provinces. You can't realistically make too many map changes, but it's not that bad. It's not ideal, let's put it that way. So, rather than me risking breaking everything and, you know, having my flagship series fucked, I thought I'd wait until the series is done, maybe spend a couple of weeks bringing it up to a decent amount of polish and releasing it after that. That, I think, is essentially all there is to say about the Dwemer mod right now. I've got another question relating to it, though. What other stuff is in it that I haven't talked about? So, spoilers, if you're interested in the series. Some of this won't be out in the series. For example, there are 2 other lab building chains. So, we saw one where we built the Artificer's Lab in the series, sort of similar to the Hermetic Society in the base game. I've got 2 other lab chains going on there. One is magical, one is foundry. So the magical one gives you personal stat bonuses and some other crap. I don't remember what it is. And the foundry one gives you troops, gives bonuses to your troops, gives yearly event spawning troops, retinue size, blah, 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 blah. So it's focused more at military side of things. Additional traits, as I've talked about, are also going to be in it, but I can't add those to the save game. So a lot of them have been added as a temporary modifier. Which is not ideal, and I will add proper traits and trait icons for those as well. Artifacts. Some artifacts are in the game already. We haven't seen them yet, mainly because I've built a different type of lab. If you build the magic lab or the foundation, you're going to get access to these things. So, for example, power armor is in there. Fallout-inspired, sort of Ethereum, Dwemer-style power armor. Sort of like a Dwemer himself has strapped himself into a Centurion, let's put it that way. So, that's in there, but you need the... I can't remember whether the lab I've built now can build that, or whether it's the magical lab that you build that one with. Doesn't matter too much. Dwemer stuff from the lore I've written down, but basically airships, for example, is it Battlespire or Redguard? There's a Dwemer airship in it. Don't remember. There's also one in Skyrim. The Dwemer airship is one that you only get if you build the foundry. You know, you need this big industrial base to build a big old airship. Movement bonuses counts as a mount. So it gives movement bonuses, you know, martial bonuses, leading the center bonuses, things like that. Because if a big old airship arrives at your battlefield, you're probably going to be shitting yourself a bit if you're just a dude with a sword. Then we've got things like the Ethereal Crown, the Ethereum Crown and Staff, the Ethereum Shield as well. I might make that an upgrade from Spellbreaker to make, you know, I'm trying to incorporate other things into the game to give you reason to make deals with these Daedra in a sort of Dwemery fashion. So that's also something else that's happening. Numidium, I've been asked about that. How am I implementing Numidium? Well, Numidium is going to be the not Numidium as it was from lore, not the original Numidium, because that, as some of you have rightly said, was like a god, essentially, and was designed to unify the Dwemer people and do sorts of other crap, Kime-related crap. My Numidium is going to be slightly weaker, as we've talked about. It's Ethereum-powered, which is basically bullshitium, unobtainium. So that is going to be... Essentially, with Ethereum, there's so little lore on it, I can do whatever the fuck I want with it, and it doesn't contradict anything, and also people can't correct me, which is why I'm picking that one, because people have a habit of picking me up on the slightest little bit of lore I got on. Actually, streamer, I think you'll find that Tiber Septim died in 3rd era 47, blah, blah, blah. So, I'm going for Ethereum because A, it makes sense because we're in Skyrim, but B, it's also mysterious and there's shit all about it, so I can make up whatever the hell I want and get away with it. So we're going to have an Ethereum-powered Numidium, and essentially what that is going to represent is not going to be... Someone suggested it was a single powerful retinue unit. No, because in the Elder Kings you could just hit them with a fireball and that a certain amount of units will just die instantly. Doesn't make sense that a low-level sorcerer could just fire a fireball off and kill Numidium. Similarly, retinues, you have a habit, I have a habit, I should say, or it is possible to just simply disband them. One troop can also be affected by certain other modifiers. For example, a single good marshal would be enough to stop it, no matter how good its personal modifiers were. So that's not a good way to implement it. What I'm actually going to do is implement it as a couple of different ways, which I'm not going to spoil because we've still obviously got that coming up in the series. But essentially, it's going to be the equivalent of reforming the faith. So, depending, you get two options when you have built Numidium. Again, I'm not going to spoil it too much. Well, you know what? I will talk about it, but if you don't want to hear it, skip forward 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute or so. First option will allow you to build this Ethereum-powered Numidium as like a big old super weapon, at which point it becomes a courtier with like 100 martial or 400 personal combat. Put it in charge of your armies. It also gives bonuses to troops thanks to some modifiers it's got as well, and it will look... Or just steal the Numidium picture from Morrowind or whatever. Second option is to incorporate yourself into Numidium and basically fuse yourself with you know, the Brass God or whatever. I might make it so you need Sunder Wrathguard and Keening to rebuild Numidium, but the issue with that is if the same as what's happened in the series, if those artifacts disappear, or if, for example, the AI decides to sell Keening, it's gone from the game, so you wouldn't be able to have access to this quite large change to your people. Sort of like, you know, reformation in the base game is quite a significant thing, so I wouldn't really want to ruin that for, you know, the game by adding such a ridiculous prerequisite. So I think I'm just going to keep it ours and sort of rebalance it, but you can merge yourself with Numidium, at which point, rather than getting a courtier that's Numidium, you become Numidium. However, all the Dwemer love you, every other race will hate you, it will rise your revolt risk for different culture and religion promises massively, because you have become this big symbol of sort of Dwemer authority. Obviously, there'll be some other issues with that. Your diplomacy skill is going to be much, much lowered. Your intrigue skill is going to be practically non-existent because you're a giant robot. Things like that. So, it's going to be very Evangelion. Those were my two ideas for that. And again, I'm just pulling this out my arse. There's no basis in lore. Well, there is to some extent, actually. That's not true. So in lore, it's a belief that the Dwemer themselves fused with Numidium to make its bronze skin. That was the sort of... a theory that's been floated around, because there's no one really knows for sure. I did like that personally, and that's what I've taken on board with this. So fusing yourself, or maybe that's why the Dwemer disappeared, because they all fused with the first Numidium. That's what I'm doing with this one, so that's the plan there. In regards to non-CK2 and Elder Kings and Dwemer stuff, Twitch, yes, I'm going to be streaming more on Twitch for a rant that I've got prepared for the end of this video, so stay tuned for that, and I'll explain it more in detail there. Let's Plays on the second channel. as much as I'd like to, I've got KOTOR 2 set up and ready to play. Unfortunately, same thing applies to what I'm talking about at this rant at the end of the video. It's regarding the new EU copyright law that was passed this morning. So chances are I'm not going to be doing more on YouTube than I have to because of lawmakers. Hooray! So you can watch that rant at the end of the video. Obviously, I still might just play games for fun, but it's also finding the time for it. That is the bigger issue here. Not that this channel's monetized. Not that I give a fuck if it gets hit by copyright. Not this channel in particular. Not that I give a shit if this one's hit by copyright strikes or anything. But finding the time for it's very, very difficult, as I've mentioned before. You know, I am also working on a mod whilst recording a mod and 2 other episodes and editing it all. So it's kind of time-consuming here. That's essentially it. So for those of you not interested in politics, the next roughly, hang on, I've already recorded it. The next roughly 10 minutes and 46 seconds are going to be me talking about what is commonly referred to as the meme ban, Article 13, Article 11, whatever the hell you want to call it, that was just passed by EU Parliament this morning. So if you're interested in that, you're interested in why this channel is probably fucked forever, and why the main channel is probably fucked forever, and why Twitch is probably fucked forever, stay tuned. If not, I hope those answer some questions.